Now, just a few months ago, the Labour Party was sitting on top of the political pile in Nigeria, loved and respected by many for its integrity and the hope of a brighter future that it offered Nigerians. To this day, some believe that its presidential candidate, Peter Obi, won the 2023 presidential election, but was thwarted by an entrenched system that wasn't ready for that kind of change. Many looked up to the Labour Party as a party that wasn't afraid to stand up against corruption and bad governance, a party that would perhaps one day lead Nigerians to the promised land. Today, though, that trust appears to have gone up in flames, and the Labour Party is looking like just another dishevelled Nigerian political party filled with rusting, untrusted politicians. Well, that's life in the Nigerian political landscape, isn't it? But it's even worse because the party has had to go into some form of administrative receivership as a way of keeping it from imploding. So how has it come to this? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the lawyer and spokesperson for the Labour Party's Presidential Campaign Council, Kenneth Okonkwo. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. Kenneth?
Thank you very much for inviting me. And thank you, viewers, everybody, for joining in.
Well, it's always a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you.
What's your reaction to the Board of Trustees taking control of the Labour Party? How has it come to this?
Well, it has come to this because legally speaking and constitutionally speaking, there's no National Working Committee in its entirety. And I'm talking about the Constitution. The Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, Section 223, it made it clear that the constitution of every party must have in it provisions and rules that must enable the election of its members on democratic basis. And it made it clear that the democratic basis means they will not exceed 4 years.
Right.
223, 1A, 2A. And if you exceed 4 years, what it means, strictly speaking, is that there is vacancy completely. And it's constitutional. And again, you can't sit down and go to social media and conduct a convention and you call it a national convention. No, that's a social media convention.
Well, even beyond that, INEC
Yes.
has dissociated itself
But
from
INEC
that
should.
convention.
And
Yeah.
what they did is quite legal
Right.
and constitutional. Section 82, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act made it clear, before you do any convention, you must give INEC 21 days notice. And 82.5 made it clear that any convention done without such notice is invalid. INEC is not your football. You can't wake up 2 days and you tell them you're giving them notice for a convention that will be happening in your backyard and you want them to come. I mean, are they jesters? This is a constitutional body and it's a creature of the law. I've always talked about rule of law. I am going to side anywhere law is siding. And you know, it is pathetic and it hurts me when I read Article 8(3) of the Labour Party Constitution that said the objective is to create a new Nigerian personality that is patriotic, altruistic, transparent, and committed to due process and rule of law in all spheres of our national life. And then somebody wants to be the national chairman, and you cannot be transparent in a little thing as in convention. And let me tell you another thing.
Well, before you go ahead, it sounds very clearly like you don't support Julius Abure, who was the chairman of the party.
Labour Party is a creation of the law. It has nothing to do with Abure. Did they follow due process? No. I have nothing personal against Abure. I'm possibly one of the people that have defended him most. But when I was defending him, it was within the foundation of the institution of Labour Party. That as long as you continue to do things in order, you will be my friend. Immediately you disobey the law. You know, Peter Obi will tell you, if you want to be His Excellency, the manner and the procedure that brings you to power must be excellent. I find this national convention less than excellent. And my principle is committed to due process and rule of law. That's why Nigerians, you know, moved up to him. And you cannot expect the platform that he will be in not to follow his footsteps.
Well, I'm going to come to that, your principle, in a moment. But lots of allegations against Julius Abure, including mismanagement, and I emphasize allegations.
Yes.
Mismanagement, corruption, suggestions he wants to take over the Labour Party. What's your reaction to all that? Do those allegations have merit? I mean, you're a member of the party.
In politics, perception is very important. I am following Peter Obi because nobody has even made an allegation against him. He has been a governor for 8 years, has been a chairman of a bank, has held offices of trust. As a matter of fact, in page 61 of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's book, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, the WTO Director General, said he was the only governor that was crying that we must be saving something. When we had excess, crude reserves. If we had saved something, you know where we would have been as a country. Now, you are the chairman of a political party of such a man, and the renegade group that started this accused you or alleged you forged something. The former national chairman of the party, a woman, alleged that you forged something. Your national treasurer alleged that you forged something. NLC alleged that you forged something. Everybody, the candidates that were in for the election in 2023 under Labour Party, some of them alleged you forged something. The perception is simply, the optics is simply not good. If I were him, I would have used this opportunity to rest, to take a leave, so that all these allegations would take a leave. Because in Nigeria, knowing what Nigeria is, if he has honorably stepped down, those allegations will honorably step down. But now he has subjected himself to going to face the consequences of what he did. I never defended anybody who offends the law.
But let me ask you this, though.
Yes.
Is the problem right now in the Labour Party Julius Abure? I'm trying to assess how dire the situation is. I mean, is it just him? Or is it politicians, members of the unions, belly aching about something or nothing? Or is the subtext clear? The level of despair now pretty obvious? I mean, somebody said in their competence, they're masking their incompetence. I mean, blurring the vision of the entire country. Is it that bad, or is it just Julius Abure? Because,
well, I'm happy
as you said, you used the word optics. It's sending the wrong optics to the country.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you made mention of the union. Let me admit that the union is a very, very important stakeholder of Labour Party.
Right.
But let me make it clear, and this is where I think they exceeded their boundary. Labour Party is not owned by the union. Labour Party, by Section 77 of the Electoral Act, is a body corporate with perpetual succession and a common seal that can sue and be sued in its name. So nobody owns a body corporate. Once you register a political party, just like even the ordinary limited liability company, has a life of its own. Good. In Section 222 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, any association that is not open to the membership of every citizen of Nigeria cannot be called a political party. So the members of Nigeria who are members, the citizens of Nigeria who are members of Labour Party, they are the ones who govern Labour Party through their management of Labour Party. So nobody owns any political party. Political party has a life of its own, but they may be the founder. Just like you have founders of PDP, APC, some of them that the names are even there may have even relocated to another party, and that does not make the party dead or anything. So I agree there are important stakeholders, but please, they should refrain from using the word that they own Labour Party. Labour Party constitution is different from NLC constitution. So by virtue of the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, once INEC registers a political party, the membership is very clear. They have to file the register of the members of the political party, file their constitution, file any alteration of the constitution, and once it's done, it becomes a body corporate. So nobody owns Labour Party.
That's a very important distinction, and I'm glad you brought that up.
But they are very important stakeholders,
and they're very
even
influential
in the yes,
in the party.
Ordinarily,
it's a bit like the unions and the Labour Party in the UK.
It should be the party for the workers, but the workers also, they have to step up their game. They have to make sure that all their members from the wards take over membership of Labour Party. If you want to own Labour Party, it's possible with your number and all those things. You can actually get your members to register as members of Labour Party, and from the ward, when they are doing the congresses, fill in your members, let them go and contest. And once you take over the leadership of the party, you are now in charge.
Right, and some have suggested that there is some sort of plot to further the political ambitions of some people in the Labour Congress, and this has all been orchestrated to further that cause. What's your reading of that?
Balderdash, hogwash, infantile. You're looking at it, but do you think it is easy to be the president of Nigerian Labour Congress? It's a very prestigious post, respected worldwide. Member of the International Labour Organization. And you are saying he's interested in what? The beleaguered post of the NWC? Or what?
Well, it's suggested that he's got presidential ambitions.
And what's wrong with that?
And that he wants to use the Labour Party to further that
Labour
ambition.
Party is the party of the workers. Assuming without conceding. Is it an offense to have an ambition? In any case, I know they supported Peter Obi very well. And I know that allegation is a blackmail. But even without conceding to it, assuming without conceding, what's wrong with it?
Yeah, but when the NLC starts to say, as you yourself pointed out, that they own the Labour Party, it suggests that they want to take some kind of ownership of the party
now
in its present form and essentially co-opt it into their sphere.
Now, there is a lacuna, because as I'm talking to you, Labour Party does not have leadership. And as important stakeholders, there's nothing wrong if they are moving in to salvage the party. That's why I'm saying they should restrain the use of the word that they own. If you're not a member of, it's not every NLC member that's a member of Labour Party. You have no business in anything Labour Party if you're not a member of Labour Party. So if you go there to picket Labour Party in the name of NLC and you're not a member of Labour Party, you're a trespasser. And you can be jailed for that. So anybody who is an NLC member, who is not a member of Labour Party, is outside Labour Party and has no business with Labour Party. The mere fact that not every NLC member is a member of Labour Party tells you that NLC does not own Labour Party and cannot own it. If you go to the Constitution, you will not see anywhere where NLC will be members of any...
But that's potentially another area that could lead to conflict, isn't it? That's why the impression is being given that there are a multiplex of conflicts taking place in the Labour
Because of that lacuna, nature cannot exist. That's why I'm holding the NWC responsible. You know, even if you go to court, and there is a circumstance that the law did not envisage, because where there is law, there must be remedy. You see the judge having to make law
Yeah, but even
in order to provide the remedy.
Yeah, but a lot of people have gone to court from
Yes.
the Labour Party in
Yes.
recent times.
Yes.
I mean, the court has often found against them, but that doesn't stop them from still agitating and
Sure.
further dividing the party.
Now, let me tell you, what happened is that when a man has a sinister motive, he tries to foist a fait accompli on the system and bring a situation of anarchy, so that it will appear as if he must be allowed, because in default of not allowing him, you will say there is no other option. No. In law, there is an overarching principle that you cannot benefit from your own fraud. You cannot, as an abure, not do the right thing by law and benefit from it. No, it is an overarching principle of law. So when such a thing happens, NLC is an important stakeholder. In our constitution, Labour Party constitution, NLC has the right to elect one deputy national chairman. They have the right, so they can capitalize on it and say, look, as an ex-official member of this particular institution, we can come in. And then we have the board of trustees that ought to have been working, and yet Abure made them not work. You can reactivate it. Board of trustees is in our constitution. So you cannot foist a fait accompli on a people and want to benefit from that fraud. No, the overarching principle of law that you cannot benefit from your own fraud is there. And once it's there, he's gone.
Well,
with his social media convention.
Right. You mentioned a number of times, and I said would return to it, your principal, Peter Obi. A lot of
Yes.
people are wondering why he, who presumably is respected by all sides within the Labour Party, hasn't intervened. Well, maybe he has, I don't know, privately, but hasn't intervened in a public way, because this has become a public scandal, to try and sort this matter out before it went embarrassingly public.
Good. You know, in section 82, subsection 3, the Constitution, the Electoral Act is very clear that it is all members of Labour Party that should elect the leaders of Labour Party, or duly elected delegates from the wards. Did you hear any word Congress? Did you hear any state Congress? The law says it is only the duly elected delegates from these wards that can elect a national convention. And then from nowhere, I heard it in the social media, from nowhere, people are giving notice of a national convention. You know what? When people have been operating at a kindergarten level and suddenly you catapult them to the university level, the area of responsibility might be too much for their little mind to comprehend. I think these people are having a problem from graduating from the Labour Party that is unknown to the Labour Party that has 6 million followers to their leadership. Labour Party that has a governor, the ones allocated to us because we had more. Labour Party that defeated an incumbent in his own home state, in his own DG state, in his own national chairman state, and in FCT denied the incumbent 25%. I think they have not grown their mentality to accommodate such leap. And if they don't, the best thing for them is to step down. Backyard national convention or social media convention cannot contain that largesse.
Or perhaps the best thing would be for Peter Obi to leave the party, because some have suggested that he himself has lost faith in the Labour Party and is planning to depart. I mean, what light can you shed on that?
Now, Peter Obi is a due process man. He allows things to play out according to law. He as a human being, he hates the idea of dictating to people. He believes we are in a democracy. He believes that he is a presidential candidate, and then that the leaders of the party ought to do what is right. And then the system should have a way to correct itself. He's not a man that wants to lord things over people. It may, in Nigerian situation, it may work in one way and may have problems in another way, But then it means he will never compromise due process and rule of law. So this situation now in Labour Party, he is allowing the system to take care of it. He doesn't want to dictate to the parties. That does not mean that normal dialogue is not going on. And of course, as you proceed to 2027, I've said this before, democracy is built on dialogue and compromise. And when you're confronting an incumbent, there is no association that you will not be interested in. So, of course, there could be measures, there could be any situation.
Yeah, but in these circumstances,
there could be a reformation of Labour Party. I'll tell you one thing.
In these circumstances,
Labour Party will get out of this.
Well, the point I'm making is
they will sink.
Right. Well, that's actually, yeah, that's a good point.
Yes.
It'll be one or the other, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
But I mean, if you talked about a merger, and that's something that's being discussed very, very seriously.
Yeah, sure.
What would, in those circumstances, I mean, the Labour Party would be limping into such a merger and could potentially bring the chaos within the party into such a merger. And that makes it look very unattractive politically.
You know, 2023 is about Peter Obi, not about Labour Party. Anybody who is bringing Peter Obi on the table,
you mean 2027 that's coming up?
Or in any political permutation, is bringing the new Nigeria, the new third force, is bringing absolute victory into whatever is done. Right. So you are talking about a political party. We are talking about, when you come to election, you talk about candidates. Peter Obi electrified Labour Party. Peter Obi has no business to lose sleep about whatever is happening in any political party. How many months did he join Labour Party? And he made what he made. People are loyal to his person. The new Nigeria is loyal to his person.
And presumably, he'll take the obedience with him wherever he goes.
That's a hypothetical question. But I'm telling you that obedient, Obi is the Obi in the obedient. So it's only natural that the obedience that was founded based on Obi will certainly follow him to wherever he's going. Won't you follow a man that has never had a scandal? You're searching for a new Nigeria that is bedeviled by people being killed, women degraded, depraved, economy sinking every day. Won't you like a man who, when he was in Anambra State, the security system in Anambra State was so perfect that kidnappers ran away? You know where they ran to? Magode Estate, the home state of the incumbents. The security that Peter Obi discharged away from Anambra State found their safe havens in other places. Anambra State became like a Goshen, where evil will run around it but will not penetrate.
Would having new people take charge of the Labour Party, people who aren't endlessly locked in leadership dramas, improve the chances of the party going forward, the ballot box and so on? Or does the Abure leadership still have enough verve in its veins to reassert itself and reassure the public that they can be trusted and their vote is safe? Because, I mean, even though you're talking about the illegality of the convention, from what we're seeing, he actually won that convention.
Did they tell you they had an election? They said there was a consensus. So which election?
Well, I mean, if there is a...
Who contested with them?
If there is a consensus, then clearly that consensus went in his favor.
I said they said. By which duly elected delegates? I started the constitution for you.
No, I'm simply asking you a question
you're a journalist.
about what we're hearing about what happened there.
I'm hearing exactly what you're hearing. I told you I heard it in the social media. But my job, I'm not an investigative journalist, you are.
Well, we're almost out of time. And as I said, it's always fascinating talking with you. So let me ask you this in conclusion. As things stand, Can the Labour Party overcome all the bad tempers and baggage of the last few months to once again become attractive to the Nigerian public?
Very well. One, the whole three parties are locked in one problem or the other. That is settled. The Labour Party's own is even the cheapest because it's centered almost on one person. Now, Abure has chosen the path of illegality and he has become very undemocratic. Imagine sitting down and saying in 2027 that Peter Obi is the only candidate. That's a very undemocratic statement. Peter Obi should be embarrassed by that statement. You're already saying that there will be no democracy because you came in through the undemocratic formula. You know why they were saying Ajajero has interest in becoming president? In order to put his head maybe against PO. Childish. That's why I say it's childish. Now, what should happen is that Abure should just pretend he didn't do anything. Good. And know that his regime has expired by the law. So he does not have any right. And if INEC, who is supposed to give life to such convention, disassociate itself, then where are we going? So he is ended in Labour Party. Then it is right for the BOT to take over Labour Party. They can be reactivated because they should be the conscience and the buffer of the party, and they should start a new thing. It will not affect the image of Labour Party one bit, because the image of the leader of the party, who is Peter Obi, has been shining more and more every day.
So that suggests that you're going to stay with the Labour Party then?
Well, I said it before.
You personally, Kenneth Okonkwo.
Yes. Well, like I said, you do not depart an organization because there is a virus or a bacteria that is eating it up. The same NLC that Abure is attacking now was the same NLC that went and threw out the renegade group when they threw out Abure. Then Abure was praising them. But when they now started doing the right thing, staying focused to throw away Abure because Abure is coming from the back door, like they always do. Now Abure is saying Jero did this and that, and that's childish. I am a member of Labour Party for now.
Yeah, but if Peter Obi were to leave the Labour Party, would you follow him?
It's going to be a very significant, thing that I will think about.
Well, it's fairly straightforward. I mean, you came into the Labour Party because of him.
Absolutely.
Because you were inspired by him. Presumably you still are inspired by him. So if he leaves, the assumption is that you'll go with him.
If he leaves, who are the people he's going to use by the next time? I am very, very, very consistent about one thing. If I see anybody that I know is not committed to a new Nigeria and he is going to distract rather than reinforce our journey to new Nigeria, I am not going to be part of that system. Very clear. But I'm telling you that wherever Peter Obi is going to be very significant when I am deciding on where next I will go. But the truth is that I am not willing to follow any situation or any path that is not clearly rooted in giving me a new Nigeria. It's not about, I'm not following Peter Obi because of him, because of what he stands for. Look at him. Very transparent. Very, very no scandal. Good. That's why I'm following him.
Kenneth, on that note, I want to thank you very much indeed. It's always a delight talking with you. Kenneth Okonkwo is a lawyer and spokesperson for the Labour Party's Presidential Campaign Council. Thank you very much indeed.